by electing people that will require that the federal government work or stay within the confines of the U.S. Constitution. And if we're electing people that don't know what the Constitution says, we're not going to get that. We elect people that actually respect their constituents. We have a person here tonight that I know does, Neil here, and I'm going to ask him to come up and speak in a minute. He's running for a state office. Wonderful guy. We have all sorts of people in Massachusetts this year that are great, great candidates. We have some that I think aren't so great, but it's your job to examine that. See, I'm not going to endorse anybody tonight except Neil, and I'm not going to condemn anybody here tonight. It's your job. You see, I used to go into the voting booth, and I wouldn't know some of the people on the ballot. And I'd look at them, and I'd say, I like that name better than that. And I'd color in a circle. And later in life, I'd say, oh, that one has the same suffix after its name that I do. And I'd color in that one. That's wrong. We need to be going into the voting booth knowing exactly who we're voting for and why we're voting for them. You see, back when our country had it in its DNA to demand small, limited government, small, limited federal government, and local control. Local control. Back when that was in our DNA, everybody knew who they were voting for. Everybody knew why they were voting for someone. Everybody knew why the Constitution was written, why it is. You know, I started these town hall meetings, and I used to talk about the importance of the Constitution and keeping the government working within the confines. Someone came up to me and they said, Bill, people no longer know why the Constitution is important. And I thought about it, and I talked to my kids because they went through the normal schools, the public schools. And I asked them if they knew why the Constitution was written, why it was so important that it was written the way it was, why it was so important to have a limited government. And they didn't know why. So I embarked to try and talk about that. You know, this is quite important. I talked to a nurse at the opening of a senior center after it had been remodeled. And I told this nurse that I was running for U.S. Representative. She says, oh, great, you're running for Senator. I said, no, I'm running for U.S. Representative. And she said, what is that? Now, you got to consider that a nurse has been in college for a little while, has graduated high school, and has had to have good grades the entire time in order to make it to the position she's at. So I sat down with her, and I gave her a quick Civics 101 class. And she looked at me, she says, that is very interesting. They should teach this in school. That shows what the Department of Education has done for us. That's a department I'd like to do away with. Yeah, back when it was in our DNA to demand smaller government, we knew all that stuff. And people were talking about it. People were talking about it on farms. People were talking about it at dinner. People were talking about politics and government. It was important to them. You see, in America, we knew that it was important. We knew that our very destiny depended on this. We knew that our children's future depended on this because we knew from experience that governments, by their very nature, grow bigger and more powerful, and any power given or authority given the government means you are abdicating a personal liberty. Every authority we give the government is an abdication of a personal liberty. And there is a balance at some point where that's a good thing, that we've abdicated just enough for them to protect the rest of our rights. But governments tend to move beyond that. So the people, the founding fathers, even the farmers, the barkeeps, the hotel maids, everybody knew that they had to keep an eye on their government. Juxtapose that to Europe, where we come from. They tried republics over there. They tried representative republics, but they didn't work. What was the difference? You see, in Europe, they never traveled over here to America, where they had their little town meetings. They were used to a monarch in almost every European country. They had become used to allowing somebody make all these decisions on their behalf. So when they were introduced to a republic, they didn't know how to act. They became apathetic almost immediately. And that apathy leads us to where we are today.